The following was presented as a choose-your-own-adventure style story for the Facebook group Attention Bajoran Workers Super. A chapter was posted each week and members voted on what would happen next. Before the story began, the group voted that the protagonist would be a trail pilot, freshly off their cadet tour and just promoted to ensign. The story has been slightly edited to improve the flow of reading as one continuous text. I hope you enjoy it. Chapter 1. As you exit the shuttlecraft, you notice the hustle and bustle going on around you. You see a person approach you, human, commander judging by the pips on her uniform. When she reaches you, she passes out data pads as she speaks. I'm Commander Portia Wakeman, First Officer of the Caliente. We're proud to have you all here. Your quarters and assignments are on these pads. Orientation is at 1300 hours. I'm sorry I don't have more time to chat, but we've got a lot going on right now. I'll explain later. Dismissed. As you look down at the pad to figure out where your quarters are, you feel a hand touch your shoulder. You look up to see Commander Wakeman smiling at you. I'm sorry to tell you this, Ensign, but you're going to have your work cut out for you for a while. Our transporters are down. Chief White's been doing everything he can to figure it out, but we still don't know when they'll be back online. Judging by your test scores, I can't think of anyone else who'd be a better bus driver. You smile nervously and tell her that you'll do your best. You're not even sure if she heard you as she walked off. As you ponder the encounter, you realize you have about 3 hours before your orientation. Chapter 2. You quickly go to your quarters and drop your things off and head out to find Chief White. Not that you wouldn't mind flying the crew around and getting to know them, but you do want to help. The computer tells you that he's in Transporter Room 3. So that's where you go. When you enter Transporter Room 3, you see a human man bent over one of the control panels, poking and prodding it with tools. As you walk in, he doesn't react. You think he didn't notice until you hear a voice. Can I help you? Startled, you introduce yourself and explain that you'd like to help. The chief doesn't look up, but says, Thank you, Ensign. Your eagerness to help is noted, but I've got it covered here. Disappointed, you turn to leave, but something catches your eye. You ask Chief White why the pattern buffers are running at 253% capacity, when they shouldn't be running at all right now, since nothing is currently in transport. This actually makes the chief stop his work and look up at you. Ensign, I don't barge into your shuttle bay and ask you about inertial dampeners, so I'd appreciate it if you didn't come into my transporter room and blab about things you know nothing about. Now please, I have work to do. If you just turn around and leave now, I won't mention this to the captain. You leave the transporter room. You have no idea what to make of that. What was his problem? Sure, he must be under a lot of pressure, but that was uncalled for. And what's going on with the pattern buffers? Chapter 3. A little disheartened after the altercation with Chief White, you enter 10 forward. Amongst the scattered groups of friends and co-workers relaxing with food and drink, you see a large gathering of maybe 15 people. They're all focused intently on a bully in yellow shirt commander. You catch a bit of what he's saying as you pass by. The honest truth, I swear to you, she killed 12 Jem'Hadar with her bare hands. She held them off while we got the civilians out. Whoa, Commander Wakeman's a badass, a young ensign shouts out. Yeah, she is. She could have taken Beta Z back by herself if they let her. You sit at the bar and order your favorite drink. The conversation next to you catches your ear. You're sitting next to a Bajoran engineer who's venting his frustrations to another engineer. This is ridiculous. How long has he been holed up there? What is he even doing? We've got Transporter Room 1 back up and running. Except for the damn pattern buffer lockout. I get wanting to make sure they're up to snuff, but come on. Cut him a little slack, Haro. Didn't you hear about what happened on his ship during the war? The Yukon had to abandon ship, and most of the escape pods were damaged. 100 people beamed off before they realized the pattern buffers were damaged. None of them survived. White stayed on the ship trying to fix it. They found him still there a week later by himself. No. I didn't know that. Well, still, we don't have the Dominion shooting at us anymore. You have to realize when enough is enough. You mean like Commander Gux over there? The bartender said he's been there 4 hours telling the same story to anyone who will listen. Must be nice not having anything to do. Speaking of which, we gotta go. We've been spending so much time on the damn transporters, we forgot all about the sensor calibrations. Oh, let's get out of here, she says as they both jumped up to leave. You note that you have about an hour to kill before orientation. Chapter 4. You quickly finish your drinks and rush to catch up to the 2 engineers whose conversation you overheard. You manage to reach the turbo lift there just in time. You do get strange looks from the 2 as you sprint your way into the turbo lift. But you introduce yourself and explain what happened. They introduce themselves as Harrow Bond and Abby Dominguez. As you tell your story, Lieutenant Harrow gets more and more visibly angry, until he redirects the turbo lift back to Transporter Room 3 and says to you, I swear to the emissary, I'm going to shove my foot so far up his ass, he's going to have to beam it out. As you and Lieutenant Dominguez race to keep up with Harrow, he reaches the door to Transporter Room 3. As he opens the door, you hear Harrow yell, You are going to tell me what the hell is going on right... But as you finally catch up, you see the transporter room is empty. You rush to the pattern buffers, but everything looks normal now. Harrow looks at you annoyed and asks if someone put you up to this. You vehemently deny it and tell him to check the computer logs. He does so and admits that something's wrong. The timestamps on the logs are slightly off. He apologizes for not believing in you and tells you he's going to run a diagnostic on this as soon as he has time. You thank him and decide you might as well head over to your orientation now. You don't really have anything else to do. You arrive in the conference room with several other new crew members. After a few minutes, Commander Wakeman arrives. She welcomes everyone, and as you sit down, she introduces you to the captain of the USS Caliente, Demridge. The sleight-of-frame Andorian greets you all, begins to explain the current mission of the Caliente. You quickly suspect that Captain Demridge must love to hear himself talk, because what took an hour and a half to explain could easily have been done in 10 minutes. Basically, you'll be exploring and cataloging an area of space that was conceded to the Federation by the Breen after the Dominion War. After orientation is over, everyone files out of the conference room. You go to check the duty roster and discover you'll be on the bridge tomorrow when the ship leaves space dock. You have the rest of the day to do whatever you like. Chapter 5. This whole thing has been stressful and tiring, and you're going back to your room to lay down. You make your way back to Deck 3 and find your quarters and crash on the bed. As you get comfortable, a mood strikes you. A feeling. It's time to relieve all this tension, you think to yourself. A few minutes later, as you're well into the act of pleasuring yourself, your door opens. A young human enters the room, holding a tray of food. Howdy, neighbor. You didn't answer the door, so I was just going to leave this in here. It's a housewarming as you make eye contact with her, hands still wrist-deep in self-gratification. She drops the tray of cookies and screams, Oh my God, are you okay? Are you having some kind of attack? Oh no, you're a Trill. The symbiont. Oh no, is your symbiont dying? McGraw to sickbay. Medical emergency on Deck 3. Crew quarters. My neighbor is dying! Just as she's almost finished yelling into her combadge, a group of officers in blue barge into the room. Thank goodness we were passing by. Come on, everybody, let's have a look. The doctors crowd and hover over you, scanning you with tricorders. At this point, you're too shocked and stunned to speak, let alone explain what's really happening. Slightly elevated heart rate, but I'm not seeing anything else here. Ensign, I think you're going to be... Before he can finish his sentence, you hear another voice speak. A blue head pops into the door. Antenna first. Why wasn't I invited to the party? Is everything all right? What's wrong with the ensign? Oh no. Is there blood? Oh no. Oh God. Oh no. I can't handle the sight of... As you look over, you see the captain faint. On his way down, he hits his head on the table next to the door. A trickle of blue blood slowly flows from his forehead. Ernie, go check on the captain, the doctor says as he continues to scan you. You hear another voice. What's all the commotion? A woman in a yellow uniform is standing in the doorway, surveying the scene. Oh, shit. Red alert! The captain's down! The captain is down! Seal off deck 3! Possible intruder! The lights dim and you hear the overpowering sounds of claxons. I can't work like this. Ensign, I'm going to sedate you and we're going to sick bay. The doctor says to you as he pulls a hypo spray and puts it to your neck. Dr. Warosa to transporter room 1, 2 to beam directly to sick bay. As the sedative begins to kick in, and as you are dematerialized, the last thing you see is 3 security officers with phasers barge into your room. What's going on? Did the Magato get loose? You wake up in sick bay. Dr. Warosa is by your side. Sorry about all that. After I finished my scans, I figured out what was going on. I had a talk with Ensign McGraw about respecting people's privacy. It shouldn't happen again. Don't worry. I told everyone you just had a bad reaction to the Andorian shrimp from your orientation. But if you like, the holodeck does have a few recreational programs you might like to check out. Just don't forget to lock the door. You're free to go whenever you like. The doctor hands you a pad and leaves. You look it over. It's a list of programs with titles like Packlid Pussy Pounders, Glory Holes of Kronos, Backdoor to Boleus, Borg Bondage 3, Resistance is Futile, and Fuda Slave Girls of Rigel 5. Chapter 6. You are going back to 10 forward. You're going to drink, and you're going to try to forget today ever happened. Synthahol only lets you forget so much, but it's better than nothing. The people around you are still buzzing about the red alert. Rumors are starting to form. Everything from a warp core breach to a changeling infiltrator. You choose not to fill them in on the truth. You do overhear some other interesting bits of conversation, though. From a few medical techs, you overhear that Chief White's physical was a nightmare to conduct. For some reason, tricorders just won't read him. He says it's because of a transporter accident during the war. His physical had to be done the old-fashioned way, which wouldn't be so bad if he weren't so uncooperative. From 2 chatting engineers who helped build the ship, you learn the origin of the ship's name. Apparently the captain was very involved in the ship's construction and kept complaining to everyone that it was too hot. Every day he'd greet the engineers with, "Sure is a hot one today, huh?" And one of them, fed up with his constant small talk and complaints, changed the name in the registry to Caliente, which apparently means hot in some Earth language. No one noticed the change until it was too late. A man sits down next to you, human. With as many drinks as you've had, you almost didn't notice, but his uniform is wrong. It's about 20 years too old, one of those tight, uncomfortable ones that were discontinued because of the back problems they cause. He ordered a drink. You don't hear exactly what he says, but the bartender's never heard of such a drink. He settles for a whiskey instead. After he finishes drinking, he says to you, "Crazy day, huh?" You nod in agreement. "Ensign, I really need to talk to you about something. We could go somewhere a little more private." Before you can even answer, you feel yourself transported away. You're standing in what looks like a transporter room, but you don't recognize any of the technology. The man is standing next to you. Don't be alarmed. You're safe. And as soon as we talk, I'll put you back on your ship. You can call me Franklin. I'm part of an organization that monitors and corrects multidimensional and temporal incursions. I can't really tell you more than that. But to get to the point, something bad is going to happen on your ship. We're not entirely sure what yet, but we do know that red alert was never supposed to happen. And we think that's the catalyst for what's going on. And since you're the one that caused it, we decided we could risk asking for your help. Right now, we just need you to keep your eyes open for anything out of the ordinary. I really wish I could say more than that, but rules are rules. I've modified your comm badge. If you tap it and say, "These pretzels are making me thirsty," it'll open a direct link to us. If you need to report anything strange, that's how to do it. Just be careful. Don't do anything stupid. And if we could keep this just between us, that would be great. The less people that know about this, the better. You wake up in your bed. 0600 hours. What the hell was that? Maybe you had too much to drink. There's no way that was real. But how did you get here? You have no memory of coming back here. Chapter 7. You put on your uniform and you head to sickbay. Hopefully you can just get in and get out. You don't want to be late for your first day of bridge duty. As you enter sickbay, you see Dr. Warosa at his desk, looking over pads. You like Dr. Warosa. He's already dealt with one sensitive issue of yours. Another couldn't hurt, right? You approach and explain to him what happened last night. The getting drunk, the strange man in the 15-year-old uniform, the strange place you were taken to. Dr. Warosa listens to it all. His face doesn't show doubt or surprise. After you finish, he calmly says, "Don't worry, Ensign. You came to the right place. If I had a slip of latinum for every time an officer was kidnapped by time travelers after having too much to drink..." You look at him, waiting for him to finish his sentence. He realizes you're looking at him, waiting for him to finish his sentence. "Well, I'm from Earth. What the hell do I need money for? Just lay down on that bed over there. I'll scan you in a minute." You lay down on the bed, half hoping this was just a dream, but half hoping it wasn't, so you're not just wasting everyone's time. Dr. Warosa begins to scan you, and only after a few seconds he stops. "Well, I'll be damned. Ensign, you are showing traces of chronotons. I'm sorry, but I am not equipped to deal with time travel shenanigans. I think we'd better talk to security about this one." He taps his comm badge. "Warosa to Gux. If you have a minute, could you stop by sickbay? I've got someone here who needs to talk to you about something." "Sure. Be there in a minute, Doc." Commander Gux arrives a few minutes later. He and Dr. Warosa talks briefly. Gux says he'll look into this, but he's got other problems right now. They've just received a distress call from Vankala 5. You know that name. Vankala 5 is a maximum security Federation prison. A lot of war criminals were sent there, as well as other prisoners the Federation deems beyond rehabilitation. This can't be good. Commander Gux turns to you and asks you to tell him about what happened. Chapter 8. As the two look at you, waiting for you to speak, you tap your comm badge and say, "These pretzels are making me thirsty," and grab Commander Gux and Dr. Warosa's hand. In an instant, the three of you aren't in sickbay anymore. You're back in that weird transporter room. Franklin is there, but something's different. He looks like he's been through a lot since you last saw him. A burn on his right cheek. His uniform is torn, and he seems to be limping. Before he can speak, you hear a series of rapid explosions off in the distance, and a metallic voice.
"Xenos filth, you dare defile the form that he decreed holy."
Franklin says, "Ensign, we weren't expecting you so soon. Sorry about the mess, just dealing with something here. You shouldn't have brought these two." You explained to him that it was the only way. You thought they'd believe you. And you weren't quite sure what happened yourself. Before Franklin can reply, two more people dive into the room. Both Starfleet, both modern uniforms. The Betazoid in blue was holding a medical tricorder and a phaser. A human in yellow holding what looks like an old Ferengi energy whip. As they get up, the squat, balding human yells in a gruff voice, "I assure you I am indeed a human. I eat 7 chickens a day, just like any other human. Look up my Starfleet record. On Earth, where humans come from. Lieutenant Hugh Man." The two other figures run into the room. A large Klingon woman and another Trill, in a yellow uniform. The Betazoid and Klingon both cut off the short little man. "Shut up about the chickens!" Then another explosion. The transporter console now has a giant hole in it. There's another figure standing in the doorway, over 8 feet tall. A white tabard with black cross, stained with blood, covers hulking black armor. A giant sword in one hand, some kind of gun in the other, its barrel letting off smoke. The red eyes of the helmet, glowing with hatred and malevolence, scan the room. The metallic voice stirs again.
"My armor is contempt. My shield is disgust. My sword is hatred. In the Emperor's name.
The trail engineer quickly hits buttons on a panel, and a force field springs to life over the doorway. I don't know how long that's going to hold him. We need to work fast. Help me get the transporter working again. The Trill, the human, and Franklin begin working on the transporter. You stand in shock, trying to process what's just happened in the last 30 seconds. The Betazoid doctor tries to comfort you. She tells you they'll have you out of here in a few minutes. This isn't your problem. They'll deal with it. It might just be the empathic nature of Betazoids, but she does make you feel better. Franklin says they've got the transporter working, but the calibration is shot. They can send you back, but you're probably going to be off a few days, either past or future. Dr. Warosa says, "Fine, we'll take it. Just get us the hell out of here." As the three of you rush to the transporter pad, the force field at the door fails. The hulking figure raises its gun in your direction. Just before it fires, a yellow boot flies out of nowhere, kicking the armored giant out of the doorway. Another giant, not quite as big as the armored one, but still almost 7 feet tall, enters the room, and with his bare hands pulls the bulkhead over the door to secure it. This new giant, with his flowing blonde hair, clad in red and yellow, steps on the transporter pad.
"The Hulkster's coming with you, brother!"
You dematerialize. You rematerialize in sickbay. The lights are dim. Red alert klaxons are blaring. There are injured people everywhere. Chapter 9. Chaos ensues in sickbay. Medical staff dart around the room, tending to injured people. From the quick glances you get, it looks like energy weapon fire. You have a million questions swarming through your head, but you decide to tackle the most recent first. You turn to the red and yellow-clad giant, who's currently doing something at a computer console. It looks like he's checking communication logs. You ask him who he is and why he came with you.
"Just call me Hulk, brother. Franklin assigned me to your case right before the attack. And I know what you're thinking. What's a musclehead from 20th century Earth doing in a place like this? Well, back when I was flying from the garden to the dome every week, I traveled back in time on my way from Japan. That's how I worked 400 days a year in 83, brother. Franklin contacted me after that, said I was some kind of anomaly, and gave Hulkamania the chance to run wild through space and time. Hulkster couldn't say no to that, especially after I heard Gagne was going to pay Sheik to break my leg. Anyway, from what I can tell, these communication logs, after the Caliente assumed standard orbit on Vankula 5, internal sensors went down, and the bridge and main engineering were attacked by something. Vankula 5 is home to a lot of nasty dudes, Jack, so who knows what we're up against. I say we get to engineering and get to the internal sensors back online. That's the funny thing about all this, brother. All the damage to the ship, the transporters are fine." You're surprised by the Hulkster's assessment of the situation. Despite his appearance, he seems to know what he's talking about. His plan sounds good, so the two of you head out to engineering, but not before you grab a phaser from one of the emergency lockers in sickbay. You offer one to the Hulkster, but he shakes his head, says he doesn't need it. Something about prayers and vitamins. You have no idea. The turbo lifts are down, so you take the Jeffries tubes down several levels. You climb for what feels like an eternity. All the while the Hulkster tells you stories of his illustrious career. You're not entirely sure what that career was. Sounds like he was some kind of prize fighter, but also a chef who opened a restaurant in the largest shopping mall in America. And he invented a cooking device that was stolen by another fighter. And he was almost a member of a famous musical group. You arrive at the engineering deck. You see the door to main engineering. Suddenly the back of your head throbs. You fall to the floor. You can see the Hulkster, but in front of him is a distortion in the air, almost humanoid in shape. You instinctively pull your phaser and fire. It connects, and the distortion becomes visible. You feel your stomach sink at the sight of it. A Jem'Hadar holding a rifle. You guess he hit you with the butt of it. You shoot again. He staggers, but he keeps coming towards you. The Hulkster pinches the Jem'Hadar's neck and it goes down. Hulk helps you up, and you ask how he knows the Vulcan nerve pinch. "I know a lot more moves than the dirt sheets and smart marks think I do, brother."
When you enter engineering, everyone is dead. Without time to grieve, you and Hulk work on getting the sensors back online. It doesn't take long. Whoever disabled them must have wanted to get them back online eventually, considering how easy it was. You scan the ship. There are life signs in the bridge. You can't pinpoint the exact number of Jem'Hadar due to their shrouding. You'd estimate that about 30 crew members are either dead or unaccounted for. There's been a security breach in Biolab 3. 7 people transported down to the planet's surface. 6 Jem'Hadar and 1 Vorta. What is going on, you think to yourself? Chapter 10. Now that the sensors are back online, Hulk says, "Computer, 2 to beam directly to the bridge, brother." You materialize on the bridge. It looks like most of the bridge crew are dead. Both of the captain's legs are broken. Commander Wakeman has been thrown through a console head first. As you and Hulk check the crew for signs of life, the captain stirs. "Ensign, where have you been? I'm glad you're okay. Jem'Hadar, they just materialized. They did this, and they left. They went down to the planet, didn't they?" You nod and tell him what you saw when you got the sensors back online. "This is bad, Ensign. Do you know who's down there? It's not just the criminals that can't be rehabilitated. There's war criminals there, too. The female changeling from the Dominion. She's there, too. They're trying to get her. Why else would they be here now? We've got to stop them." He tries to get up, but with his broken legs, he doesn't get very far. The Hulkster rushes up to him. "Sorry, brother, but we're making the hot tag. You're in no condition to go down there. I'm going to beam you to sickbay, dude. Dr. Waros will give you a Z-pack, and you'll be running wild again in no time." "A tag? Oh, what is a Z? I don't understand. Who? Before the captain can finish, you hear a crash. The console hits the floor. The console that was wrapped around Commander Wakeman's head a few moments ago. She stands up, wearing a crimson mask dotted by chunks of plastic and transparent aluminum sticking from her face. "Go to sickbay, sir. I'll go down there and stop them." You give the computer the command to beam the captain to sickbay. You hear the Hulkster and Wakeman arguing. "I don't know who the hell you are, and I don't really care. This isn't your ship. They barged onto my ship. They killed my crew. They almost killed my captain. I'm going down there, and I'm stopping them." "Listen, brother, I'm not some snake in the grass that hides behind legal loopholes like Harvey Whippleman, but according to Article 9, Section 322, Paragraph 8 of Starfleet Rules and Regulations, you're the commanding officer now, dude, and you need to stay on the bridge in times of crisis." "How the hell do you even know that?" "I always read the fine print on the contract, brother." An alert flashes on a console. Commander Wakeman goes to look at it. Oh no. There's a ship approaching. It's hailing us and the planet. She hits a few buttons, and the ship appears on screen, and its hail plays. "Federation facility and vessel. This is the Cardassian scout ship Gamor. What is your emergency, and what can we do to help you?" Before anyone can say anything, another transmission is heard coming from the planet. "Gamor, this is Fred White, Chief Administrator of the prison facility on Vankula 5. Listen to me very carefully. We've had some power fluctuations. Some very dangerous prisoners escaped and managed to get aboard the other ship in orbit. We can handle ourselves down here, but we're no match for a Sovereign-class starship. We could use your help." That voice. You recognize that voice. Time is running out. Chapter 11. Deciding that Commander Wakeman can handle the Cardassians, you and the Hulkster decide to beam down to the prison and stop whatever plans the Jem'Hadar have. You materialize in what looks like another transporter room. 2 dead security guards lay on the floor. Hulk checks a computer terminal. "Internal sensors are down, brother. We ain't got time to fix them." He pulls something from his yellow trunks. "I downloaded the layout of this place on the tricorder before I left. It should help. Just be careful, brother. There's a lot of nasty dudes here. Even worse than that Benedict Arnold Sergeant Slaughter." Once again, you have no idea what the Hulkster is talking about, but decide to heed his warning nonetheless. "If they're going after the female changeling, then that's where we should go first. Follow me, Jack." You follow Hulk down several corridors. You pass a few cells. You're surprised how spaced out they are. Not like the common depiction of a crowded, noisy prison. You hear a voice call out to you as you get closer to a cell. It takes a moment for your universal translator to make sense of it. And in that moment, you hear the mechanical garble and buzz of the brain. Excuse me, would you happen to know what's going on? Something strange is happening. Lieutenant Hopkins is 32 minutes late for his hourly check on me. Tardiness has never been one of his vices, and I've never seen you two before. Something strange is definitely happening. You see the name on the cell door, Thought Gell. That name sounds vaguely familiar to you, but you can't place it.
Everything's fine, dude. Hopkins is on vacation, riding the waves at Venice Beach.
Is that so? Hopkins just came back from leave 2 weeks ago. Also, if I understand your anachronistic vernacular correctly, Hopkins doesn't know how to swim, so I highly doubt he's taken up surfing.
Let's just go, brother. This guy's the worst of the worst. Even the Dominion was disgusted by him.
I can help you. I'm intimately familiar with Vorta and Jem'Hadar physiology. That catches your attention. You ask how he knew about the Jem'Hadar if he had no idea what was going on. The Hulkster has your answer.
He's reading our minds, brother. You never heard of the Butcher of Beta Z? When the Dominion occupied Beta Z, this jabroni took the opportunity to experiment on people. He was fascinated with telepathy, figured out what makes betazoids tick, genetically modified himself to do it too.
Among other things, the ominous mechanical garble says, I'd like my revenge at the female changeling. She was the one who handed me over to the Federation without a second thought. If I have to spend the rest of my life here, then so does she. We can decide what to do with each other once this situation has been dealt with. Mr. Hogan has the access code to my cell. He has the access code to all the cells in that tricorder. You have my word that I will do nothing to harm or hinder you until the mission is complete. Chapter 12. Hoping this won't backfire, you tell the Hulkster to release Thought Gell.
All right, it's your show, brother. But if this jabroni pulls anything, he's going to feel the power of the 24-inch pythons.
Hulk puts in the code, and the Breen slowly steps out of his cell. You can almost see a smile under his helmet, if Breen are even capable of smiling. A wise decision. You have my thanks. I will endeavor to be a worthwhile companion. Now, I believe we have some friends to greet. You can see the distortions in the air move towards you. You ready your phaser. Hulk raises his fist. Thought Gell releases a deafening screech from his helmet. The universal translator doesn't even try to decipher it. It must not be language, but the distortions in the air turn visible. You count 6 Jem'Hadar now. They stopped momentarily, holding their heads in pain. Hulk charges one, kicking it in the head, taking it down with a massive yellow boot. You draw your phaser and manage to take down 3, while they're still stunned. Thought Gell moves faster than you would expect someone wearing a refrigeration suit to move, and snaps the neck of one from behind. He lets out another series of screeches, fast pulses of garbled mechanical sound, and the last Jem'Hadar falls to his knees. Shall we proceed to the female changeling? Unfortunately, Jem'Hadar are resistant to telepathy, but I can feel another mind that isn't supposed to be there, and it's closing in on her. You nod at Hulk, and he pulls his tricorder again, begins to lead. As you walk, you try not to think about anything, because you can feel Thought Gell probing your mind. As you reach a fork in your path, Hogan is about to turn right, but Thought Gell stops you. They'll be expecting us if we go this way. I do know an alternate path that could gain us the element of surprise.
You sure know a lot about a place for someone who's been locked in a cell for years, dude, Hulk says defiantly.
One of my many escape plans. I used my mental enhancements to convince the crew here that I was one of them. I worked alongside them for 9 days, waiting for a ship to come by that I could leave on. Sadly, the next one that came was a Cardassian vessel, full of former Obsidian Order members who were rigorously trained to resist telepathy. They saw right through my ruse, but I did gain intimate knowledge of this facility during the time.
How do we know you're not going to lead us right to your stash of secret evil weapons, Jack?
The Breen pauses and tilts his head slightly. Mr. Hogan, this isn't some comic book or Saturday morning cartoon. Any equipment the Federation confiscated from me has long since been studied and disassembled. I'm merely offering a safer alternate route.
The Hulkster turns to you. You're the Booker, brother. What do you think?
Chapter 13. As you ponder what to do next, the Hulkster and Thought Gel begin bickering. You try to block it out, but they don't stop. Fed up, you grab the tricorder from Hulk's hand and examine the map for yourself. After a minute or two, you do see another route you could take. There are maintenance passageways that you could crawl through. That, while a more roundabout path, would take you almost directly to the female changeling's cell. It may be cramped, but you're fairly certain that even Thought Gel's bulky refrigeration suit will fit. You tell this to both of them, and they nod in agreement, and follow you to the maintenance hatch. It's a tight squeeze for Hogan and Gel, but they do fit. You travel for a few minutes. Both the Hulkster and Thought Gel are being uncharacteristically quiet. As you approach your destination, you hear voices in the distance. You slow down, crawl more quietly, and try to listen. When you finally come to a vent you can see out of, you see a familiar face, Chief White, with 5 Jem'Hadar. The female changeling cell is open, but she's still inside. I understand your problem, and I do wish I could help, but I cannot leave here. I agreed to this confinement to protect the Great Link, my Great Link. If I leave now, they will be in danger, and another war could be started. I can offer you a small piece of myself. Perhaps you can derive the cure from that.
No, we tried that already. It doesn't work. There's not enough. You have to come with us. They're dying. It's already been too long. Don't you care? Founders are dying. You can help them. And you want to sit in a Federation prison? I told you, I am protecting my people. You have my deepest sympathies, but your founders are not my people. I have to think of my people first. Please go. Your presence here is causing enough trouble. Chief White is getting increasingly angry, and so are the Jem'Hadar around him. You're right about one thing. You're not our founder. Therefore, we can take you with whatever means are necessary. I've been here for 4 years, trying to put this plan together, and it's so close. I won't let anyone stop me, not even you. I'm giving you the chance to come peacefully, to do the right thing, and this is the last chance I'm giving you. Get out of that cell and come with us, or we're going to take you. The Jem'Hadar raise their weapons and step forward. They pause, and almost look frightened as they step back. Do not threaten me, Solid. I will kill you all without hesitation if you do not leave. You see the female changeling step out of the cell doorway. She stretches out her hand. She looks confused. She does it again. If something was going to happen, it didn't. Chief White laughs. You think I wasn't prepared for that? He pulls a small box from his tool belt. You like it? The Cardassians made it.
It emits an energy field that stops shapeshifters from assuming other forms. You're not going to kill any of us without your powers. Now get out of the cell and come with us. Chapter 14. You, Hulkster, and Thoughtgel quickly glance at each other and nod. You're on the same page for once. Each of you unfastens the panel directly underneath you and jumps down. Hulk lands behind two Jem'Hadar, grabbing their heads and slamming them together. Thoughtgel lands more gracefully than it seems someone of his size should be able to. He takes out two of the Jem'Hadar with an attack you could barely see. As you land, you knock the device out of White's hands and draw your phaser. He looks shocked to see you. The kid from the transporter room? Everyone thought you deserted after the shrimp thing. What the hell are you doing here? You tell him you know what's going on. You can't let him take the female changeling. Hulk speaks up as well.
We can't let you tamper with alternate dimensions, dude. You gotta go back to yours, and you're not taking anything with you.
Bright looks even angrier than before. You don't understand. They're dying. They need her. I swore I wouldn't come back until I found the cure. Thoughtgel tilts his head. You can see the curiosity, even through his helmet. He hasn't figured it out yet? White asks. In my dimension, there never was a cure for the virus the Federation infected the Founders with. They're all dying. There aren't many of them left. I came here, altered myself to look like this, to bring back the cure, and none of you are going to stop me. He draws his phaser and fires a wide beam. You and Hulk are hit. As you fall down and begin to lose consciousness, you see the remaining Jem'Hadar grab the female changeling. White hits his comm badge. White to Gamor. Emergency. 3 to beam out. Now. Just as they start to dematerialize, Thoughtgel grabs White and is transported with him. You wake up in sickbay. Dr. Warosa is leaning over you. You must be back on the Caliente. The ship shakes. Dr. Warosa sees that you're awake. You're all right. You just got stunned. Listen, I don't know what the hell's going on the bridge. They won't answer me. But before the captain fell unconscious, he told me about Commander Wakeman. I don't know who your friend is, but I'm guessing since you made it back here in one piece, he knows what he's doing. You two need to get to the bridge and relieve her. She's gonna die if she doesn't get down here soon. The Hulkster pops up from his bed, looks at you and says, "Let's go, brother." When you get to the bridge, you see Commander Wakeman trying to stay conscious in the captain's chair. She looks pale, and a pool of blood is formed underneath her. She's the only one there. She looks at the two of you. How the fuck is a Galler-class ship doing this? That's a 30-year-old. We're the most. Hulk pulls a small device out of his trunks and places it on her chest next to her comm badge.
You did a good job, brother, but we're making the hot tag now.
Commander Wakeman dematerializes.
I sent her to sickbay. Take the helm, dude.
The Hulkster sits down in the captain's chair. You sit at the helm. Looking over sensor readings and damage reports, you come to the same conclusion as Hulk begins to speak.
White knows everything about this ship. He's got the shield frequencies and prefix codes. That's why we're jobbing to that Galler-class brother. But that's not all. The Gamora launched 3 escape pods. Good news is, looks like the USS Toriyama's only a few light years away. If we can get close enough, maybe they can do a run-in. What do we deal with first, brother?
Chapter 15. You tell the Hulkster that if you don't do something about the shields, the ship isn't going to last much longer.
Good thinking, brother. Initiate evasive pattern Michaels 06. Dodge until we remodulate the shields.
You look a little confused. You've never heard of that maneuver before.
It's in there, brother. I loaded a few programs when we got here.
Sure enough, you find it. When you activate it, you're almost thrown out of your seat. The inertial dampeners weren't ready for this. Yet it seems to be working. The wild flailing of the ship seems to be making it difficult for the Gamora to lock on targets.
Hogan to engineering.
Engineering, this is Lieutenant Harrow. I don't know who you are, but if you keep flying the ship like this, it's going to fall apart.
I'm here to help, brother. Listen, the Gamora has our shield frequencies. You gotta remodulate it. They're picking us apart like Yokozuna at an all-you-can-eat sushi place.
I don't know what that means, but I'll work on the shields. Shouldn't take too long. Harrow out.
Hogan turns back to you. Keep the evasive maneuvers up, but head towards Toriyama. We need all the help we can get. We need help up here, too.
Hulk presses a button on the captain's chair, opens a ship-wide channel.
This is the bridge, brother. We need a few Hulkamaniacs up here.
You keep the evasive maneuvers up. So far, so good. But the Gamora is still pursuing. Why? White has what he wanted. Just as the question enters your mind, the Gamora breaks off pursuit. It's headed back towards the escape pods that were launched. As you're telling Hulkster this, the bridge door opens. Sounds like y'all needed some help up here. I was nearby. Oh, hey, neighbor. I was wondering what happened to you.
Ensign McGraw, get to the sensors, brother. We need eyes on those escape pods.
Yes, sir, Mr. Person? She looks confused at the whole situation, but she quickly brings up the sensors and scans the escape pods. 3 escape pods, sir. Life signs reading 2 Cardassians, 1 Breen, 1 Indeterminate. Your eyes meet with Hulk's. You know the Indeterminate life sign must be the Changeling.
Book it to the escape pods, brother. McGraw, beam the occupants aboard as soon as we're in range.
Harrow to bridge. Shields are remodulated. You can stop flailing around like an Andorian octopus on a matter reclamator now. You make a run for the escape pods. The Gamora's weapons are barely penetrating the shields now. McGraw successfully beams the female changeling to the bridge. As she is about to speak, the view screen activates. A furious-looking Chief White eyes you. You think you're just gonna swoop in and take her, and that's it? I've been planning this for far too long to let you do that. Computer, activate program White 205. The lights dim. Your console loses power. You hear explosions. As the view screen loses power, you see White smile. One more little surprise. Have fun. Something materializes on the bridge. It's big, bigger than Hulk. You see it now. White fur, a horn on its head. McGraw screams. It lunges for Hulk. Chapter 16. You draw your face on the body of the creature. A Mugato, if memory serves. In the time it took to do so, it lunged at Hulk, ripped him out of the command chair. It squeezes his body with its giant arms and violently thrusts its pelvis. You hit it in the side. It was enough to make the Mugato drop Hulk. He quickly dashes around to the other side of the chair. The Mugato, not to be denied its prey, rips the chair from the floor and hurls it across the room. The female changeling melts into a puddle to avoid it, and the chair crashes into Ensign McGraw. She lets out a scream before it hits her and sends her toppling over the console. Then she's silent. Hulk and the Mugato grapple again. You can't get a clear shot this time. Hulk yells out to you,
"Get the founder out of here, brother! I'll handle this thing!"
Just after he says this, the Mugato claws his face. Blood sprays from Hulk's forehead. It grabs him again. You try to aim your phaser, but Hulk yells again,
"Go! Don't worry about me, brother! The power of Hulkamania!"
The founder grabs your arm. He's giving us an opportunity to get to safety. We should take it. You let her pull you out of the room. With main power out, the turbo lifts are down, so anywhere you go, you'll have to climb. You're not sure what to do. You can't stop thinking about Hulk. He's probably going to be killed by that thing. And Ensign McGraw is probably dead, too. The founder's voice begins to intrude upon your thoughts, until you finally snap out of it. Are you listening to me? I said, if their dominion is anything like ours, I think I know what this Chief White did to your ship. If you can guide me to engineering, I might be able to reverse it. You give her a suspicious look. It should be clear by now that I have no wish to escape. I don't want to start another war between us. Please, let me help. This is true, you think to yourself. She's had several opportunities to escape, and she didn't. It's the best option you've got. After a few minutes of climbing Jeffrey's tubes, you hear a beeping. You realize you still have Hulk's tricorder. You pull it off your waist and look at it. It's indicating that it's picking up comm signals. You tune in and listen. Cardassian escape pod. This is the USS Toriyama. We will be within transporter range in approximately 7 minutes. Toriyama, this is Glyn Morale from the Gamor. Our ship was boarded by Jem'Hadar, being led by a Starfleet officer. There was a Breen, too. We think the prisoners from Vankala 5 took over the USS Caliente, but I'm not sure what's going on now. Stand by, escape pod. Great, you think to yourself. Hulk and the Founder are probably the only ones that actually know what the hell is going on. If the Toriyama shows up thinking the Caliente is an enemy, things are going to get ugly. You need to move fast. Chapter 17. You hurry down access tunnels and Jeffrey's tubes, trying to get to engineering as quickly as possible. The female changeling is silent through most of the journey. You're not sure what to make of her. You just hope that you can trust her. You make it. The Founder pries the door open, and you're met with phasers. Luckily, it's just Harrow and Dominguez, and they realize who you are before they pull the trigger. You explain the situation to them, and they're hesitant to let the changeling do anything, but you convince them that there really isn't an alternative. Dominguez tells you she did manage to restore partial internal sensors, and she thinks someone might have beamed over. You know that means you're running out of time. The Founder goes to work, with Harrow assisting her. All you can do now is wait, and guard the door. About 10 minutes later, the normal lighting returns, and the Founder informs you that your ship is operational again. You quickly run to the auxiliary transporter control and beam the Mugato back to its containment cell. You beam Hulk to engineering. The medical tricorder from the first aid kit says he's still alive, but he's not moving. He's covered in blood, has dozens of deep lacerations all over his body. It's more than the dermal regenerator can handle. He lifts up his head and looks at you. You don't have much time, brother. White is here. You gotta stop him. You nod. Tell him that you're going to beam him to sickbay. He grabs your arm and says, "Take this." He slips off the ring from his left hand and holds it out to you. You see Hall of Fame class of 2005 on the sides. You take it and try to put it on. It fits on your thumb. The power of Hulkamania. He manages to get out before losing consciousness again. You beam him to sickbay. You run a quick sensor sweep of the ship. You figure out that White beamed into cargo bay 2. If he has access to the sensors now too, he should already know where the Founder is, and he'll be on his way. He knows he can't just beam her out, because you would just disable the transporters again. He's going to have to come here. It's time to stop White once and for all. Chapter 18. You run your tricorder over the ring on a hunch. You were right. This isn't just some hunk of gold. There's some sophisticated technology in here. Not only does it seem to conduct a kind of structural integrity field throughout the body, it also emits a disruption field outward. You're pretty sure you could punch through a bulkhead with this thing. But time is running out. You tell the Founder and the engineers to hide. You find a place to take cover and hide by the engineering door. If you can get the drop on White, this should be quick. After a few minutes, the door opens. You peek out to look. No one. A ball about the size of your fist rolls in. By the time you register what it is, it's too late. It explodes with a high-pitched sound that feels like it's melting your brain. You can't hear anything now. You're dizzy. You can't stand up straight. You fall over, out of your cover. White sees you. He's holding some kind of pipe or club. He smiles as he hits you in the head as hard as he can. Luckily, you're wearing that ring. Otherwise, that might have killed you. Between the blow to the head and the sonic grenade, you can't hold yourself up straight. Everything is spinning. White circles you like a vulture, kicking you in the ribs or the stomach every other lap. I told you I wouldn't let you stop me. Now look at you. Helpless. Pathetic. Where are your friends now? He kicks you again. All you had to do was not interfere. That's it. But no, you had to be a hero. Well, this is how heroes die. Alone. Broken. Do you want to die? He kicks you again. I don't think you do. I'll give you one last chance. Tell me where the changeling is, and I'll take her and go. No one else has to get hurt, and you get to live. Sounds good, doesn't it? What do you say? You're surprised you had the energy left to tell him to go fuck himself, but you're not surprised that that wasn't the answer he was looking for. Stubborn till the end. I'll leave a note so they put it in your record. But now you have to die. He raises the pipe he hit you with before. He's going to cave your head in. This is where it ends, you think to yourself. Lifetime after lifetime. And they all end with you. You don't know whether to feel pride or remorse. Your senses are coming back to you now. The room isn't spinning as much, but you know it's not enough. You'll never get out of the way in time. With your hearing still muffled, you almost didn't notice. But the pattern in the air gives it away. Something is materializing behind White. It's the Hulkster. He's still covered in blood and cuts and bruises, but he's on his feet. Barely. He spins White around, throws something in his face, some kind of white powder. White drops the pipe. He can't see now. He's blinded. This is your only chance. Chapter 19. This is it. Hulk is down again. He must have used the last bit of energy he had to give you this chance. White drops the pipe. He's blinded. You can feel the power of the ring. You know this has to end, and it has to end now. Your thoughts race with all the people who've been hurt or killed trying to stop him. The captain, the first officer, McGraw, even Hulk Hogan himself. You are the only one left who has a chance. If I don't, who will? You yell in anger as you leap through the air, fist outstretched. The ring, and then the rest of your fist connect with White's face. But the power and momentum are too much. You feel his skull crack and crumble as your hand keeps going through. It all looks like slow motion to you. There's a spray of blood. Your momentum carries you through a work console. You crash into it, landing upside down. Before the injuries and the rush of blood to the head take consciousness away from you, you see Chief White's headless body stand before you for just a second longer before it collapses, still spraying blood. You smile, and everything fades. You wake up, still groggy. Can barely keep your eyes open. You can see Hulk in the next bed over. Dr. Warosa is standing over you. You both took a hell of a beating, but you're gonna be fine. Everything fades again. A few days later, you're in the conference room with the captain, Commander Wakeman, Hulk, Franklin, a Starfleet admiral by the looks of him, and another person you don't recognize at all. Admiral Jones, as he introduces himself, thanks you all for your service on this sensitive matter. Wishes he could give you all medals for this. Hulk chimes in and says,
Nobody loves winning gold more than the Hulkster. We gotta kayfabe this one, brother.
The others look confused until Franklin speaks up. He means we have to keep this classified. Anything relating it has to be wiped from records. We've prepared a cover story that we've already given to the Toriyama and Gamor. Everyone nods. The captain says, All right, I guess we'll kayfabe this one. Oh, look at me, using the lingo like one of the boys. The man you don't recognize, wearing strange armor you've never seen anywhere before, nudges Hulk. And Hulk stammers a bit.
Oh, right. Sorry, brother, but I'm gonna need the ring and the tricorder back. Rules are rules.
You nod, give them both back to Hulk. The man in the armor pushes his wild black hair out of his face and says under his breath, "Now if you could only find the other 12. Hulk immediately stands up straight, his muscles flexing.
You want to say that again to the 24-inch pythons? Dude, you still missing that bolt pistol?
The man's eyes widen, and you can almost feel a pressure in the air.
I didn't lose it. It was stolen. Glass houses and stones, brother. Don't besmirch the good name of Hulkamania.
The man's wild hair begins to move like in a breeze, and the ship starts to shake.
This Hulkamania nonsense is nothing compared to the power of a...
Franklin steps in between them. All right. I think we're done here. Why don't you go back? We'll say our goodbyes. We'll be there soon.
Fine,
the man says and disappears. Franklin steps up to you and shakes your hand. You did good work. Maybe our paths will cross again one day. I'll see you around, Ensign. He steps back and also disappears. Hulk steps up and shakes your hand.
You're the best tag team partner I've had in ages, brother. You got a good ship and a good crew. Stick with it, dude.
He steps back, but before he beams out, he poses, flexing his muscles and yells,
What you gonna do when the USS Caliente and the power of Hulkamania run wild on you?
Epilogue. After a long day, you return to your quarters. You sit down, tired. Computer, lights, you say. Then you notice. Next to the plate of stale cookies on the table, there's a box, wrapped like a present. You get up and open it. It's filled with pretzels and a card. You open the card and read, My dearest Ensign, please accept this as a small token of my eternal gratitude for your help in my escape. I shudder to think of how long I would have been trapped in that dismal place were it not for you. I think we made a rather formidable team. I do hope we meet again. Nothing in the world would please me more. Your friend always, Thought Gel.